What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Peasy. Have y'all ever drank Liquid Death before? I've seen it. I've seen it, and I'm like, drink that shit. Liquid Death, bro. Like, I guess I don't know. I guess the name pulls people. Like Liquid Death. What the fuck is this? I thought it was some beer. I was like, who the fuck wants to drink this shit? I thought it was like some Four Loko, competitor type shit. Some malt liquor or something. And then one day I'm like, why is this near the water? So I look on it and it says mountain water, drinking water from the Alps. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Liquid Death, this is crazy. Still never drank it though. But we got a video today talking about how the founder founded and created a $700 million water brand. Let's check it out.
One exercise that we still do today, we ask the question, what is the dumbest possible idea we could do for this? Because our brains are wired to just repeat things that we've seen be successful in the past. You kind of have to trick your brain to come up with a bad idea to truly be thinking in sort of like innovative territory.
This is 40-year-old entrepreneur Mike Cesario. And when he devised the brand name for his product, he came up with something unconventional.
What's the dumbest possible name for a super healthy, safest beverage possible? Liquid Death.
Liquid Death, mountain water.
Probably the dumbest demand.
Nah, shit. Nah, he got that right. He got that right for sure. I accidentally clicked this, goddamn it. Oh well. Watch this.
Total amount of funding, million. Liquid Death.
For a super healthy, safest beverage possible. Liquid Death.
Liquid Death, mountain water.
Probably the dumbest name.
Yeah.
Nah, hands down. Because when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? I'm not drinking that shit.
Liquid Death. Water. In a can. Dumb name, skulls on the packaging. But according to Mike, the co-founder and CEO of Liquid Death, that's part of the reason why his company has brought in nearly $130 million in sales this year alone.
If
Goddamn.
I saw that in a store, or if someone I knew saw that in a
30
store,
million?
I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to pick that up and be like,
130
what is
million?
this? And once someone picks something up, you basically won.
There's three numbers to watch out for in Mike's story. 3 million, the number of views that Liquid Death's first commercial got on Facebook. 100,000, the amount of sales that Liquid Death made in its first month. And 195 million, the total amount of funding that Liquid Death has raised. Here's how Mike Cesario took a funny idea he once had for a commercial and turned it into a $700 million brand. For CNBC Make It, I'm Zach Green. This is Founder Effect. As a kid, Mike remembers an older cousin gifting him his collection of Mad magazines. It turned out to be a formative moment for him.
I just completely ate that stuff up, and it was kind of crass and vulgar, but it was art, and it was really funny, and it was spoofy.
Mike started playing guitar in punk bands and says one of them had several offers from recording labels to put out a record, but he also felt creatively drawn elsewhere.
I was doing the show flyers, designing the album covers, all the businessy, creative stuff.
Instead of pursuing a music career, Mike opted to attend the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California, studying graphic design and eventually advertising.
I just wanted to make people laugh, which is what really attracted me to advertising, because it seemed like it was more of a place for humor and comedy than graphic design was.
In 2009, a friend of Mike's put him on the backstage list for the Warped Tour in Denver, Colorado. Many of the bands were sponsored by Monster Energy.
I was just hanging out with them, and we saw these, stacks of what looked like, Monster. These guys are drinking it, and it turns out like, oh, it's actually not Monster, it's water, because these guys don't actually want to drink these energy drinks. I remember thinking that that was kind of messed up. I'm like, man, that's so sort of sneaky. It's like at that time, it was really only energy drinks who were throwing money at these guys, so they kind of had to.
I think that's hilarious. They were actually drinking water. That's that's funny. I mean, that's marketing 101. Just drink some water and say that it's Monster.
Take it. But at the same time, it started making me think about why aren't there more healthy products that still have funny, cool, irreverent branding? Because most of the funniest, memorable, irreverent branding marketing is all for junk food. Bud Light, Dos Equis, Snickers, Doritos, Red Bull. And that was, I think, planted the early seed of probably what ultimately ended up becoming Liquid Death.
Early in his career, Mike started working at ad agencies around the country. While the work wasn't always creatively fulfilling, his clients helped hone his own marketing philosophy.
We were working on Virgin America, the airline, and I started getting into Richard Branson. And I love Virgin's sort of business strategy, which was find a really stale category of products and be the one really cool, exciting product in it. And they were able to get all this market share really easily because they were just so disruptive and sticking out like a sore thumb in whatever kind of category that was.
Mike put his theory about funny advertising to the test while working at a firm in Nashville, Tennessee. The health food brand Organic Valley wanted them to come up with an ad campaign for their protein shake.
They were talking to like bros in the gym who are looking to, put on muscle. Like that's a big part of like the protein market. And they knew they had to market differently to those guys than they did like organic moms that they did most of their other products to. So venturing outside their comfort zone, we pitched them this idea of Save the Bros.
Every day, millions of bros drink protein shakes in order to get jacked, yoked, and totally swole. But most bros are unaware of the scary chemicals and artificial ingredients inside these shakes.
And they almost killed the idea right before it went live. And then we launch it and it goes completely viral.
But despite success in advertising, Mike still struggled creatively, so he decided to create his own brand, where he could control the marketing. After an unsuccessful try at craft brandy, he remembered a pitch he had once made for a canned water ad, poking fun at energy drinks that the bands at the Warped Tour definitely weren't drinking.
I always knew that there was something in that idea, and it kind of just stuck with me. And just on the side, over the next few years of working at random agencies, I was always just sort of continuing to develop this concept of canned water and like, what can it really be?
But how could a new product break into the crowded bottled water market, which is valued between $146 and $350 billion according to PitchBook?
The only way the brand would have a chance at survival is the actual product itself has to be so insanely interesting, where so much of the marketing is baked into the product, where if someone sees this on the shelf, am I willing to bet they have to pick it up because it's so weird or interesting, and then they're probably going to take their phone out.
I mean, he literally just did the same thing that Richard Branson did. We don't really have to like go through this crazy thing. He told us 3 minutes ago. He got it from Richard Branson. Richard Branson said find an aisle or a category of something that's really boring and be, the most enthusiastic or the most outgoing in that category. I would have to agree with him. I think that's essentially how it works, You essentially want to be the best, in your position. That's how like Deion Sanders in prime time, he was something that no one else was. He was more than just a cornerback. He was prime time. He wasn't just Deion Sanders. He was prime time. And when he was prime time, he gave something that no other defensive back gave, and that was a lot of charisma and a lot of outgoingness and a lot of cockiness. So I mean, it's literally the exact same thing here. I think that it's fantastic. I'm going to speed up a little bit because he's telling us the
Take
same
a photo
thing.
and to push the posts out over the course of maybe like 3 or 4 months.
Don't fall for the marketing bull. Water is not yoga. Water is liquid death.
4 months in, the video had 3 million views. The page had almost 80,000 followers, which was more than Aquafina on Facebook at the time. And we had hundreds of messages and comments from people being like, this is the greatest thing ever. Where do I get this? Is this real? A 7-Eleven franchisee in Michigan reach out. How do I get this in my stores? So then I use all of that sort of social traction to then actually go get people to take me seriously. And we raised a small round of funding to actually produce a minimum run of like actual product.
No, I think that's great.
Mike was able
We have I'm on the board for something, and one of the biggest problems with a lot of businesses is cash flow. And right now we're in like stage 2, going into stage 3, and then we'll be introducing the product to market. But one thing that we're having trouble with is having the cash flow to pay for the orders, which is like, I think it's something like 500 at 300 a piece, something like that. I may be wrong. Or is it 500? It might be 5,000 at 300 apiece. So essentially trying to generate, the funds for it. One of the things that we came up with was to do pre-orders, have people sign up for whatever it is, show that there's actual true interest in it, and kind of like Elon does when he ever drops a new car, he puts $100 down and then you can get in line. It's kind of something that we did, and then that generated enough funds for us to go ahead and pay for the supplies so that we can go from stage 2 to stage 3 and then roll everything out to market.
To raise $150,000 in initial funding, and after finding a water supplier in Austria, sold the first cans of Liquid Death online as a direct-to-consumer business.
Our first month, we made $100,000 in sales, and we spent about $2,000 on marketing. We sold out a product. We didn't order near enough what the demand was. We were sold out for like over a month.
The first big retailer to take an interest in Liquid Death was Whole Foods.
They're really big on sustainability. They loved our Death to Plastic message to kind of bring death to plastic bottles, cans infinitely recyclable. And they liked that we were talking about these things in a way that no other brand in their store was really doing. They said, hey, we want to launch you full national out of the gate in March of 2020. So we literally loaded into Whole Foods March 15th, 2020, the week the pandemic lockdown started. So that came with its own host of problems, but we still started seeing like real growth in Whole Foods throughout the pandemic year.
While still far below brands like Dasani and Aquafina, Liquid Death sales have grown from $2.8 million in its first year to $45 million in 2021. Mike says they're on track to hit $130 million by the end of this year.
One of the most surprising things
Wow.
to everybody with this was how wide the audience really was for something.
That's
like this.
insane.
Hundreds of parents who message us on social.
I mean, people
saying,
are
"Thank you,
becoming more
Liquid
aware
Death.
of
You
the
finally got
brand.
my
They're
9-year-old
purchasing
excited
it
to drink water
more and
instead
more
of
and
soda
more.
because he thinks he has something he's not supposed to have." The construction worker guy who goes to a 7-Eleven and typically buys 2 energy drinks now might be buying 1 energy drink and actually going and buying a Liquid Death. Liquid Death for me is, how do you get all these people who don't typically
Buying a
make
Liquid
healthy
Death.
decisions to now
I
all
like
of a
how he
sudden
changed it. You're
want
buying
to
a Liquid Death, but you're really just buying
in
a can of
healthy
water.
brand purely from the brand standpoint
cool.
at first, and they just start incorporating it into their day.
Yeah, literally, that's awesome.
Liquid Death
Brand
has raised
recognition.
$195 million in funding and is valued at $700 million. A big part of that growth has been fueled by Liquid Death's appearance on the shelves of over 60,000 retail locations throughout the U.S., including 7-Eleven, Walmart, and Target, where it sells for about $1.89 a can. But more than anything, Mike says that it's creating an emotional connection to a brand that drives consumers.
People think that taste is why things are successful or unsuccessful, or why one brand is better than another. All the data shows that is not even close to the case. Monster didn't become a $50 billion company because it tastes so much better than Red Bull. Most people probably couldn't pick out an energy drink in a blind taste test if their life depended on it. Our brand is all about comedy and making people laugh. We're not tying our brand to some specific niche like action sports. So I think as long as we're constantly just riffing on culture, this can go basically for as long as something like Saturday Night Live is relevant, because you're literally just a part of culture and making people laugh. At the end of the day, we're really creating an entertainment company and a water company. Like, we don't want to create marketing. We want to actually entertain people, make them laugh in service of a brand. And if you can do that, they're going to love your brand because you're giving them something of value.
I would be I'm very interested to see where it goes. He's saying that they're developing a media or a marketing, business alongside a water brand. But he says that they can go, forever, as long as culture essentially allows them to, as long as they can pick things from culture to, find things to create different brand awareness ads or things of such to put on their bottles or their cans. That's very interesting. I think that that's really cool for someone to essentially generate $700 million, literally changing the way people drink water. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. Mike Cesario, you did a great job making Liquid Death. I think that somebody else could create something, maybe not necessarily the exact same, but something very similar, and do just the same thing, with something that we've been using day to day for the entirety of our lives. So I appreciate you guys. Until the next one, y'all have a great day. Peace.